The circulatory system. The first part of your circulatory system is your heart. Deoxygenated blood first enters the heart through the superior or inferior vena cava. From here, it enters the right atrium. When it enters this atrium, the SA node, located at the top of this atrium, causes the atrium to enter systole and push the blood through the atrioventricular or tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. From here, the AV node, located at the bottom of your right atrium, sends a message to your Purkinje fibers for the ventricles to contract. From the right ventricle, the blood goes through the pulmonary semilunar valve and enters the pulmonary trunk and arteries. These arteries carry the blood to the capillaries of the lungs where oxygen replaces the CO2. After this, the blood is carried back to the heart by the pulmonary veins, and it enters the left atrium. After this, the blood enters the left ventricle through the atrioventricular bicuspid valve. The left ventricle then goes into systole and pushes the blood through the aortic semilunar valve into the aorta. The coronary arteries supply oxygenated blood to the heart itself. Next up is your blood vessels. The arteries and arterioles carry blood, usually oxygen-rich, away from the heart, have thick muscular walls, and no valves. The veins and venules carry blood, usually deoxygenated, to the heart, have thin muscle walls, and contain valves to help the blood travel. Lastly, the capillaries are where the gas exchange happens. They are very thin and allow cells to travel single file through them, and large groups of these are called capillary beds. Your body has many major blood vessels. The subclavian arteries and subclavian veins carry blood to and from the arms. The carotid artery takes blood to the brain, and the jugular vein brings the blood back to the superior vena cava. The blood vessels involved with the digestive system are the mesenteric arteries and the hepatic vein and portal vein. The mesenteric artery takes blood from the aorta to the small intestine. The hepatic portal vein allows the blood to go from the small intestine to the liver, and the hepatic vein brings the blood back to the inferior vena cava. The renal artery brings oxygen-rich blood to the kidneys, and the renal veins bring it back to the inferior vena cava. And lastly, the iliac arteries take blood to your legs, and the iliac veins bring it back to the heart. The last part of the circulatory system is fetal circulation. The O2-rich blood starts from the placenta and gets to the fetus right atrium from the umbilical vein, which connects to the inferior vena cava through the ductus venosus. From the right atrium, the blood can get to the aorta in one of two ways. The first way is for it to go through the foramen ovale or oval opening directly into the left atrium, from the left atrium to the left ventricle, and finally to the aorta. Or, the blood can go to the right ventricle, travel to the pulmonary artery, and enter the aorta through the ductus arteriosus. After the blood enters the aorta, the blood gets pumped through the arteries of the fetus. Once the blood gets to the iliac arteries, it goes into the umbilical arteries back up to the placenta to get oxygenated once again.